Before we begin, I have just one request. Put on your headphones, turn off the lights, and let the world outside fade away. Because some stories aren't just meant to be heard, they're meant to be felt. Every whisper, every breath, every sound behind you might not be just in the story. So, are you ready? Let's begin. After The House That Remembers, I never believed in ghosts, not really. Not the kind that hid in shadows or whispered through walls, but I believed in memory. And sometimes memory is worse than ghosts. After my father's funeral, I returned to the house I swore I would never see again. It stood there just as I remembered, cold, gray, a silhouette of grief on a hill too quiet for comfort. The old manor overlooked a forest that had long since consumed the road behind it. My mother died in this house, my sister vanished in it, and now my father had returned to it in his final days, only to die alone. I should have let it rot. But guilt is a sharp thing, and mine cut deep. I owed my sister Lily that much. I was 13 when she disappeared, and I remember the sound more than the sight. The sound of her laughter echoing down the hall, then the silence, the way the house exhaled after she was gone. I parked my car on the gravel, and the weight of the place hit me like a wave. The manor was rotting, ivy crawling up its bones, windows dark as coal, but the door opened with a slow creak, as though it had been waiting. Inside, it smelled like dust and forgotten things. I stepped into the foyer, and memories flooded me. The stairway where Lily used to slide down on a pillow, the chandelier with one missing bulb that never stayed screwed in, the cracked floorboard that still whined beneath my foot. Everything felt preserved in sadness, a still life of grief. I found my father's belongings scattered in the living room, a cane, a bottle of pills, a journal with brittle pages, his handwriting trembling like an old man's breath. He had written the same sentence on the last 10 pages. The house remembers. I didn't know what that meant. Not then. I stayed the night. Not out of bravery. I was just too tired to drive, and I didn't think the house would care. I took the guest room on the second floor, the one with the blue wallpaper and the window that faced the woods. That night, I dreamed of Lily. She was standing at the foot of my bed, her white nightgown stained with mud, her eyes wide and wet. She didn't speak. She just raised her arm and pointed to the corner of the room. I turned and woke up gasping. There was nothing in the room but the faint sound of the wind pressing against the glass. I shook off the dream and tried to go back to sleep, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't alone. The house felt aware, like it was watching me. The next day, I explored. The kitchen was as I remembered it. Dark oak cabinets, rusted sink, the smell of something sour that clung to the corners. I opened drawers out of habit. In the back of one, I found a child's drawing, crayons on paper, a crude image of a girl, smiling, standing next to a tall black shape with no face. In shaky letters, it said, "Me and the Quiet Man." I felt a coldness crawl up my spine. I took the drawing and stuffed it into my pocket, telling myself it was nothing. Kids draw strange things, but the house creaked louder that night. I heard footsteps above my room, even though no one else was there. I heard whispering in the walls, words I couldn't quite make out. I felt a hand brush my ankle while I lay in bed, only to find the room empty. On the third day, I opened the basement. The door groaned open like a sigh. I hadn't been down there in decades. I remembered my mother warning us never to go down. She said it was unsafe, full of mold and broken things, but curiosity is a stubborn thing. I descended slowly, flashlight in hand. The air grew colder with every step, and the smell grew stronger, like wet earth and old blood. The basement was filled with relics, dusty boxes, broken furniture, cobwebs that draped over everything like funeral veils. In the corner, I found a child's shoe. It was Lily's. I remembered the pink bow, and next to it, scratched into the concrete wall, were words, hundreds of them, repeating over and over, "I'm still here." I stumbled back, nearly dropping the flashlight. My hands were trembling. My chest was tight. I wanted to leave. I wanted to run out of the house and never return. But something in me, grief, maybe or guilt, kept me there. I needed to know. That night, the dream returned, Lily again, but this time she was crying. Silent tears rolled down her cheeks as she pointed, not to the corner, but to the floor beneath the bed. I woke up soaked in sweat. I got down on my hands and knees and looked beneath the bed. There was a small hatch I had never seen before. Heart pounding, I opened it. Inside was a tunnel, narrow, dark, carved through the old wood. I could barely fit, but I crawled in, the flashlight flickering as I moved. The tunnel led to a hidden room, one not on the floor plan. A child's room, preserved in time. Toys on shelves, a tiny bed, drawings on the wall. All of them featured the same black figure. No eyes, no mouth. Just a tall shadow with long, reaching arms. In the center of the room was a stuffed bear, Lily's bear, and beside it, Bones. Small, fragile, human. I collapsed. I don't know how long I cried. When I returned to the light, I couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. I called the police anonymously, told them to check the house, said nothing else. They found the room, the remains. They said it was likely my sister, but they didn't find the rest of what I saw. They didn't find the other scratches on the wall in the hidden room, the ones that spelled, "He's still hungry." I left the house that night. I didn't pack. I didn't look back. But something followed me. I hear whispers in my apartment now, in the walls. I see shadows that stretch too far. My lights flicker at 3:07 a.m. every night. That's the time Lily disappeared. And sometimes I dream of the quiet man, standing in the corner, smiling, waiting.